Hi dear students, today we will study Act 2, Scene 5. You may please take page number 62. First we will discuss the introduction given there in your textbook. This scene has a dramatic irony. Irony means the contradictions, the opposite views we can find in this scene. Shylock trusts his deceitful daughter with his possession while she is making plans to betray him. So first line we had seen that this scene has a dramatic irony, contradictions, opposite ideas and views. One side Shylock trusts his daughter, and other side what happens? His daughter deceives him or betrays him. Deceit means to cheat. Shylock trusts his deceitful daughter with his possession while he is making plans to betray him. Shylock is not inclined to attend the dinner hosted by Bassanio, but ultimately decides to have the meal at the expense of a prodigal Christian. So earlier we have seen about the supper arranged by Bassanio, and Lancelot is there to invite Shylock for the same supper party. Actually, Shylock has got no interest in attending the supper party arranged by Bassanio. Inclined means he is not interested. So here Shylock is not interested to attend the party, but finally he decides to attend the party at the expense of a prodigal Christian. Prodigal Christian means a person who spends money without any reason and who spends the money very lavishly and without thinking about the future. The prodigal Christian, it is a character there in the Bible, a person who spent his money lavishly and finally becomes a poor person. Here Shylock also finally decides to attend the meal arranged by Bassanio, and he considers Bassanio as a prodigal Christian. Why? Because Bassanio also has got the same nature. He spends money without any reason and he spends money in a lavish manner. And he fears that all is not well and gives instructions to Jessica to lock and guard his house. Again, the dramatic irony here. Shylock feels that something is wrong there, so he gives advice and instructions to whom? His daughter, to lock and guard his house. And we know about Jessica. Jessica is going to deceive her father. Then also Shylock is not aware about that, so Shylock gives instruction to Jessica to guard his possession and his house. Lancelot reveals to Jessica Lorenzo plans for eloping at night. So here in this scene, Lancelot also is present there and he informs Jessica that Lorenzo has got a plan for elopement. We are shown Jessica at home with her father's trust in her, which further heightens her betrayal. So here one side is Shylock. Here one side Shylock trusts his daughter, and other side Jessica deceives her father. And if both the persons deceives each other, then there is no problem. But here one side one person trusts and other person deceives. So that heightens her betrayal. So now we will discuss the scene in detail. So take page number 62. Scene 5. Venice. Before Shylock's house, enter Shylock and Lancelot. So this scene takes place in Venice before Shylock's house, and Shylock and Lancelot are presented there. Shylock starts the conversation. He says to Lancelot that, well, thou shalt see, thy eyes shall be thy judge. The difference of old Shylock and Bassanio. So here the conversation between Shylock and Lancelot we can find. Shylock says that, well, you will see and your eyes will judge the differences between me and Bassanio. Already Lancelot informed Shylock about quitting the job and joining with Bassanio. So in that occasion Shylock says that you will understand you will understand the difference between me and your new master Bassanio. Of means between. So he says that, well, you will see and your eyes will judge the differences between me and Bassanio. Then what Jessica? Now he calls Jessica. The conversation between Lancelot and Shylock develops. In between, Shylock calls Jessica. What Jessica? The meaning is that, Jessica, where are you? Then he continues with the Lancelot. He asks Jessica that, where are you? Then he continues his conversation with the Lancelot. Says that, thou shalt not governmentize as thou hast done with me. You are not supposed to governmentize. Governmentize means overeat. You are not supposed to overeat when you are with Bassanio as you have done with me. When Lancelot was there with Shylock, he used to eat more. And Shylock gives an advice or instruction to Lancelot that you are not supposed to eat too much when you are with Bassanio. Do not overeat as you have done with me. Then again he calls Jessica. What Jessica? Meaning is that, what are you doing, Jessica? Then he continues. So he calls Jessica. Then he continues with the Lancelot. He says to Lancelot that, and sleep and snore and rent apparel out. He says that, do not sleep and snore and wear out your clothes. So when he was there with the Shylock, Lancelot used to do all these things, snoring and sleeping all the time, and he used to wear out the clothes very fast. So the Shylock gives the warning here that you are not supposed to do all these things when you are with the Bassanio. In a way, Shylock says that Lancelot was having more freedom with the Shylock, and if you are going with the Bassanio, you cannot do all these things. You are not supposed to overeat, you are not supposed to sleep more, and you are not supposed to snore, and you are not supposed to wear out your clothes. So these instructions are given by Shylock to Lancelot. Rent apparel out. The meaning is given there, wear out your clothes quickly, very fast changing the clothes. So Shylock says that you are not supposed to do all these things. So that is why he says that you will understand the difference between me and Bassanio when you are with Bassanio. So with Bassanio there are so much restrictions. Then again Shylock calls. Why Jessica? I say, Jessica, can't you hear me? He asked Jessica that 3 times he called. First time he asked Jessica, what are you doing? Then second time he again says that, Jessica, what are you doing? And finally he says, Jessica, can't you hear me? Then Lancelot, why Jessica? Then Lancelot also is addressing Jessica, and he also calls Jessica. Hello, Jessica. Shylock, after hearing that, Shylock says to Lancelot that, who bids thee call? I do not bid thee call. Who asked you to call Jessica? And I did not ask you to call Jessica. And who asked you to call Jessica? Who bids the call means who told you to call, or who asked you to call Jessica or her. And I do not ask you to call Jessica. In response to that, Lancelot says, your worship was born to tell me that I could do nothing without bidding. Your worship, your honor. This is title of respect. He says that your honor used to complain that I never did anything without your orders. So in a way, Lancelot says that always you used to complain me that I was always waiting for your orders and doing everything after getting your order. So if you observe the servants and the master, that pleases with the servants those who can take responsibility by their own, even without the commands or orders. If the servant can do the things their own, then the master is pleased. But we know Shylock's opinion about Lancelot. Lancelot is a lazy person. and he always waiting for the orders from Shiloh. So that is why now there is a change. Lord Philip says that now even without your order I can do. That is why I called Jessica. Then Jessica enters into the scene and she asks to her father, call you, what is your will? Did you call me and what do you want? Then Shylock says to Jessica, I am bid for to supper, Jessica. I am invited to dinner and I am invited to supper arranged by Bassanio. Then he continues that there are my keys, but wherefore should I go? I am not bid for love, they flatter me. Shylock says to Jessica that he is invited for a supper and he gives the key to Jessica and says, here, take my keys. Then he thinks, but why should I go for the supper arranged by Bassanio? Because they have not invited me because they love me, and it is done. They invited me only to flatter me. Flatter means to praise another person without any sincerity. In order to attain something, in order to gain something, praising other people without any kind of sincerity, praising other people. So that is why Shiloh says that why should I go for the supper arranged by Bassanio? Because they didn't invite me with love, but they just invited me in order to flatter me, in order to get something from me, the money, 3,000 ducats. And in their invitation, there is no sincerity. So that is the reason Shiloh, he doesn't want to go for the supper arranged by Bassanio. Then he changes his mind. That we will see in the next paragraph. He continues that, but yet I will go in hate to feed upon the prodigal Christian. So here he changes his mind. First he decided that why should I go? Because they didn't invite me with love. They just invited me to flatter me. And here he changes his mind and says that I will go there out of hatred. Not with love, but with hatredness, I will go for the supper arranged by Bassanio and to feed upon. To feed upon means to eat the food arranged by the prodigal Christian. Prodigal means a wasteful person. The meaning it is given there, spendthrift. The reference is to the story of the prodigal son in the Bible. Spendthrift means a person who wastes money without any reason. So here Shylock says that with the hatred I will go for the supper arranged by Bassanio in order to eat the supper arranged by the wasteful Christian. This is a reference to prodigal son in Bible and prodigal Christian. Who is here? It is Bassanio. So Shylock ultimately decides to go for the supper arranged by Bassanio. And the story about the prodigal son, I will just give some idea about the story of the prodigal son. In a village there lived a father and two sons. Once the two sons they became mature enough, the youngest child asked his father to give him all the share. The father gave all the money and the share of the younger son, and the younger son he went away from his father and the elder brother, and he went a place in the town and he just spent the money in a lavish manner, and he lost all the money, and he started to work under a rich man. Then he realized that it was all his mistake. He should go back to his father. Then he again comes back to his father. That is the story, and I will give the note about the story of prodigal son. So the prodigal son means the person who spends money in a lavish manner, or the person who wastes money without any reason. And here Shylock calls Bassanio a prodigal Christian, because Bassanio also a person who spends money without any reason, and he also spends the money in a lavish manner. Then Shylock advises his daughter that Jessica, my girl, look to my house. Jessica, my daughter, look after the house. You have to look after the house. You must safeguard the house. I am right loath to go. Means I am not happy to go for the supper party. I am reluctant. I am not happy to go for the supper arranged by Bassanio. And the reason he gives is that there is some ill a breathing towards my rest. There is some evil being plotted against my peace of mind. Towards my rest means towards my peace of mind. Rest means peace of mind. So there are some evil being plotted against my peace of mind. So I am not happy to go for the party because there are something wrong is going to happen to me. So I am not interested to go, but still I am going in order to feed upon the prodigal Christian. So he says to Jessica that you have to take care of the house. You have to look after the house. And then he says, for I did dream of money bags tonight. Money bags, seeing money bags in the dream, it is a bad omen or a bad sign. What is the meaning of seeing money bags in the dream? It means that something wrong is going to happen. In the previous night, Shiloh had a dream in which he saw money bags. That is why he says that something evil is plotted against my peace of mind. Something is going to happen with me. Something wrong is going to happen to me. Why he says so? Because he saw money bags in the previous night. So he says to Jessica that you have to look after the house. Then Lancelot says, I beseech you, sir, go, my young master doth expect your reproach. Here, go means come. He says to Shiloh that I request you to come. Then he says, my young master expects you to be there. My young master, who is that? Bassanio. Bassanio is expecting your arrival, reproach. Actually, the real word is that approach. Word approach means arrival, and the word reproach means disgrace someone or to shame someone or to rebuke or to fight with someone or to criticize someone. The word here actually is approach, but somehow Lancelot misused the word and says reproach. So Lancelot says that I request you to come, sir, my master is waiting for you. Then Shylock says, so do I his. He says that, and I also expect him waiting for me. Earlier we had seen that instead of approach, Lancelot uses the word reproach. Here Shylock is considering the meaning of reproach only, not the approach. That is why he says that, so do I his. I expect his reproach. In a way, he says to Lancelot that, so do I his. Means, I expect his reproach. I expect his disgrace. I expect his criticism. And I expect his rebuke. And I expect his fights. Why? Because Shylock takes the word reproach in literal manner, and Shylock knows how Bassanio will reproach him, disgrace him, if the scheme against Antonio succeeded. If the scheme, already Shylock has a plan to take revenge against Antonio. What is that? If Antonio fails to pay the money on time, then he can take 1 pound of flesh from Antonio's body. In a way, he can kill Antonio. So he has got that plan or scheme. And once Shylock takes that revenge against Antonio, then Shylock is sure that Bassanio will disgrace Shylock, because Antonio is the best friend of Bassanio, and if something happens to Antonio, then Shylock is sure that Bassanio will take revenge and he will reproach Shylock. That is why he says that I also expect his reproach in future. Here Shylock takes the word reproach in a literal manner, but Lancelot misused the word. So you must know the difference between these two. One side Lancelot misused the word, and other side Shylock takes the meaning of reproach literally. Why? Because Shylock feels that, or he expects the reproach or the disgrace once he accomplished his scheme against Antonio. So that's enough for today. I hope that you understood the scene, and if there is any doubt you can contact me. Thank you. Have a nice day.